So I was working on this battery-operated police car for Ozzy. I'll put a link to it, but he had a video up on YouTube recently, and the toy wasn't working, so he sent it this way. And it's actually got a few advanced functions for such a small toy. So I suggest you go back and watch his video. But it operates on a single D-cell battery. Maybe I'm too close. Maybe I need the camera back a little bit more. There we go. A single D-cell battery. It does have a light up here as well. It's supposed to have a little machine gun that goes in this hole, because this hole is mechanically linked to the mechanics inside, so the gun moves back and forth all the time. The light's only supposed to turn on when the car is moving forward, so now you know the car also moves backwards. So the switch on the back isn't an on-off switch. It's actually a 3-position double pole, double throw switch, which means center is off. And you move it in one direction, I believe over this way, it would then be forward, which is the light on. And if you moved it over this way, then it would be reverse. The car also goes through a sequence. When it's in forward, with no clicking gun sound, the car will be moving. And of course you can set the wheels to go in a circle or straight or whatever you want. So it goes forward, the sequence, it stops moving, then the clicking starts, which is supposed to be the machine gun firing. Then that stops and then it shifts back into forward again. If you go in reverse, you get the same functions in reverse, just no light in reverse. They're asking a lot of the little motor and light, all running on a single 1.5 volt battery. So turning, of course, is the most amount of work on it. Like all real cars, one wheel is actually connected to drive. In this case, it's the right rear, and one wheel is left to spin free. If you have positive traction, even in a real car, and you try to turn, you'll hear the tires squealing. In toys, if you have positive traction, they don't turn. They're just going to keep driving forward. So since this toy was meant to be able to turn, you got to have one wheel that's driving. Now, the unique thing about this design is the way they shift, whether the wheel drives or not. See that movement? This wheel and this axle have a gear on them, and it's in a slotted thing so that it can move like this. So when the axle is down, the gear does not engage. So there's a cam in there. As that slow cam moves around, it pushes that axle down, and that's what stops the wheel from engaging, and also the clicker then engages. When that cam rotates out of the way, then the weight of the car will push the wheel and the axle up, and the gear will engage and it moves. So actually, if you pick the toy up and hold it like this, the wheels sometimes will spin free even if they're in drive mode, simply because the weight of the wheel is pulling down on it. Now, they do have a little return spring in there, but it's not necessarily enough to do that. In order to run this, I'm going to have to chase it on the floor. So first, I thought we'd just let you hear and see, you know, the actions. So it's now going forward. Here, let's put a piece of paper where the missing gun would be. Oop, didn't mean to leave it there. Alright, got a piece of paper shoved in the gun hole. So you can see how the gun would always be moving back and forth. And whenever you hear the clicking sound, that's when the car is not moving. And here's the reverse. You can see the clicking is much louder in reverse, and the light is off. And that just has to do with the nature of the clicker and the cog that's going around. In reverse, it lifts it up further and it slams down further, so it's a little bit louder of a clicker. Now, when we actually put it on the floor, your motor then has the load of moving the car, and if you have it turned, which I'll have to do because this is a small room, that's even more load, so it could jam up. And if it does, then you can just reverse the switch and go the other way and get things going. Because you're really asking a lot of that little motor to be running the mechanics here, to be running the cam, drive the wheels, run a clicker, all that on 1.5 volts plus a light probably being on. But let's give it a shot. I probably should just hold the camera, but I don't know. I have no idea. I wish I had a wide angle lens. That's as far back as I can pull in this little room right here. I'll turn the wheels all the way to the left. And there, see, it kind of jammed up. So I'm going to reverse it. And the wheels were simply spinning on the floor. And it kind of jammed up again. It's just asking a lot of the toy. Try going forward. See if we can just do that. Oh, wheels turned. Looking better now. Well, the main problem with the toy, as said, of course, was this complicated 3-position switch. There was a plastic disc, which is part of this finger that's sticking out, which has the 2 metal contacts on it, and that part was fine. Then there's the typical, if you've ever been inside Japanese toys back then, red fiber board, and on it there are 4 little nail heads, basically, which become the contact points. And the way it's designed is they crimp the whole thing together with an eyelet. But what happens is over the years, the red and the eyelet holds everything tight together. So because all 4 of those little contact brad heads, nail heads, have to make contact. If even one of them doesn't make contact, then the motor won't run. As the fiber board through the years tends to warp, then it loses that pressure. They're counting on that fiber board to work like a spring to make the contacts happen. So in order to get it to work, I had to take the switch apart, take that eyelet out, cleaned all the metal surfaces, of course, and then flipped the fiber board over and reassembled it the other way so that the hump is now up. So when I tightened it down, the fiber board is acting like a spring again to apply pressure on all the contacts. And there you have it. It's not working too bad for its age and everything else.